It's not my side. It's not my side in church.
Look at that. Look how covert that is.
Hey, we are such creature of habits, aren't we?
Yeah.
You know?
I like to sit up front because I have a hearing.
All right, what was that one?
They do home inspections or
I'm always afraid that. Okay, what's this got to do with
I don't know. I sent this email. I sent an email to Jim Cook with just a bunch of questions. What is this?
Hey, you, there in the back. Would you please stand up because I want to point at you.
Will you stop coming in late?
That's
Okay.
a true sign of a sinner.
Were you trying to move it somewhere?
Oh, absolutely. Right now, we're both in this together.
I gotta send it to Ken.
sheet that showed what's
What do I do this way? Email it to myself.
I have an escape clause. I just go there.
I do expect a little more detail in there before they get the show for me.
Turn off the
She ran we'd go Sunday. Said good luck. Have fun.
I guess, but it didn't show any revenue here.
How do I send it to someone?
Oh, my wife loves it there. She is happy as a clam.
Is this-
She's
yes.
there's a recipe there.
Email address. They're
Love it.
much lower.
We're about 2 hours and 20 minutes or so in the heat of the
I'm going to limit it to 2 minutes first
Just send it to myself.
time.
Vegas is like the same thing. You want to get shot and go to Mexico, so you got all the options.
What's the one? That was fun. That was a little high point.
Taos, New Mexico.
Now he's got pictures.
That's as good as any.
That still doesn't tell me anything.
We will take public comment on items on the agenda
I
during
don't
the
even
course
think I
of the
have
discussion.
an agenda, but
Have
is
mine.
this it? I'll just share with you. I've been getting so much paperwork. I can't.
I know, it's, trust me, I have a
I'm
hard
getting all
time.
the Beta stuff. I had a board meeting in Beta today, 3 meetings this afternoon. I've had half a sandwich on my way over here, so I get something to eat because I get cranky if I don't eat. So it's
Hey, Mike, you didn't shower or what? Nobody wants to sit next to you or?
Yeah, really.
It is literally filled behind you, and everyone's like, "Oh God, it's the record." It's like sitting by a commission.
We were feeling sorry for
Mike
you.
was getting the
Maybe nobody wanted
complex
to
there.
That's funny.
I've
Okay,
been there,
you
Mike.
want to knock on the,
Somebody knock on the window.
knock on the
would ya?
window?
Ready, Bill? Or Jim? Oh.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the, I'm calling to order the Wednesday, October 21st Ways and Means Committee meeting. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, roll call, please.
Klaus,
Here.
Crawford,
Here.
Johnson,
Here.
Kropa,
Here.
Max Bauer,
Here.
Wheelock,
Yes, ma'am.
Lathrop.
Yes. Okay, does anyone have any changes, deletions, additions to the minutes? If not, they'll stand as read. And now we come to our first public comment, and I have a little statement that I'd like to read. Wish I was a good public speaker, so I wouldn't have to read it like this, but I'm gonna. I see many people are here tonight, this evening, to support the Easling Pool. We're about to have the general public comment time for our meeting. Just as a reminder, the agenda item tonight is just an informal presentation regarding a potential partnership proposal in the future for the pool. There's no action being taken tonight by the Board of Commissioners regarding whether the pool is kept open. That is an item for budget discussions. I just wanted to make sure that it was clear before we began our public comment period, that you folks know that. No decisions tonight on the pool. So with that, another thing, I've talked to council, there's a lot of wonderful people here that want to talk about this, but we also have a duty to get the meeting done in time And so for this first, we have 3 public comments. One right now, and then when we bring up the YMCA and our wonderful Parks Director, then there's another time for public comment, and then there's another time at the very end of the meeting for public comment. So there's 3 times, and you're invited to come up, and I encourage you to speak. Please don't be shy. But this first public comment only, this first section, is going to be limited. We used to do 3 minutes, we're going to do 2 minutes. And then the following public comments, the one that will be held right after our discussion about the YMCA, and the last one will go back to 3 minutes. So this first one will be limited to 2 minutes. So public comment, please come up, and do we have a piece of paper there?
We do. I have a sheet of paper on the podium. I would ask that you just write your names down so I can spell them correctly in the record.
Okay, would you read the public comment information?
Yes. Any person shall be permitted to address a meeting of the Board of Commissioners which is required to be open to the public under the provision of the Michigan Open Meetings Act. Public comment shall be carried out in accordance with the following board rules and procedures. Any person wishing to address the board shall state his or her name and address. No person shall be allowed to speak more than once on the same matter, excluding time needed to answer commissioners' questions, if any. The chairperson shall control the amount of time each person shall be allowed to speak, which shall not exceed 3 minutes. The chairperson shall, at his or her discretion, extend the amount of time any person is allowed to speak. Public comment will be solicited during the 2 public comment periods noted in Rule 5.4, Order of Business. However, public comment will generally be received at any time during the meeting regarding a specific topic currently under discussion by the board. Members of the public wishing to comment should raise their hand or pass a note to the clerk in order to be recognized, and shall not address the board until called upon by the chairperson.
Okay, with that, this first time limit is 2 minutes. After that, it'll be 3 minutes. Please come up. Don't be shy. Whoops. This.
Somebody has to call for public comment.
It's called my tree guy. Okay. Hi. Let me turn this off. Okay.
My name is Mary Laux. I live at 4011 Cedar Run Road, Traverse City. Do you need anything more than that? I've been swimming at the pool since 1984. I sincerely hope that we can work out how to maintain this facility. It seems like for the last, even in the last 3 years, the swimmership there has increased dramatically. I think it would be a real shame if, even temporarily, the doors were closed at the pool. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Anybody else? Come on up. Don't be shy. We want to hear you.
Hi, my name is Leslie Anderson. I live at 1460 Bermley Estates Drive in Traverse City. I am a single mom, and I am new to Traverse City, and I found the pool when I first moved here as a runner recovering from some injuries, and I have really fallen in love with the pool and the community of swimmers there. And as a single mom, that is about the only time, 4 a.m., when I can get up and do something like that, and to have that gone would be devastating for me. It has been a huge stress relief for me. It has been a great outlet for me, and I really feel like shutting it down temporarily would, one, have those people lose that physical resource and also the relationships that are there. I know when I go, there are senior citizens who say that this is the only time I get out and see other people. The people there have relationships that they have established over a long period of time, and it's a valuable resource for this community, and to take it away would be a shame.
Thank you.
I'm going to move the paper away just so it's over here. Is that okay?
Yeah, that actually is a good idea. Thank you, Tom.
My name is Tom Mayer. I live at 612 5th Street. I'm a candidate for City Commission, and I'm here to support the people who want to keep the Easling Pool open. I have many friends who use the pool. I was canvassing in the Slabtown neighborhood today, And a woman seemed very concerned, and she had read the story. She had read something in the newspaper, and she said she didn't understand it. And I said, I don't understand it either. And I think that's why most of us are here tonight, is that we don't understand why the Easling Pool could be closed. And we think that having that decision made last week after 9 o'clock or so didn't allow the public to be involved in the process. The public needs to be involved in the process, and that's what I'm about. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Anybody else? Going once?
Yeah.
Here we go. All right. Oh.
Hi, I'm Kelly Smith. I live at 200 Roman Drive. I've been in Traverse City for about 2.5 years now, and I am the head coach of the girls' high school swim team. And I can assure you that without 2 pools, we will not be able to maintain the practice level that we have now. And honestly, we would love to have more practice time than we already do. I think that having high school swimming is a huge asset to this community. I've lived in lots of other communities, and people my age especially want to have community, places to go, like the pool, and also have activities. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a mic for her, or?
Come over that side. It'll be easier on the front of the...
I'm Donna Gerhard. It's from 780 Hammond Road East, Traverse City, Michigan. And I've lived here all my life, of course, but I've been swimming at the pool for, I think, for 32 years. And I've had MS for 43 years. And it's been such a blessing because when I'm in the water, I can walk in the water. I can't walk on dry land. And there are so many people in our group that are doing this. And anybody, we had people from Detroit that have come in to swim with our group. We had people from the UP, we've had people all over. They don't have any other swim groups any place in the state, and it's really such a really wonderful thing for the whole community of our city and the whole state. And I just know it means a lot to every one of us, and even those that don't have MS, people that just have arthritis or just have to have movement, from surgery or something like that. So I just wish that somehow we can keep it open, and I'm so happy that maybe we can work with the Y, and together we can keep this going as soon as you can. Every day makes a difference. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Bridget Tente, and I live at 4517 Ground Pine Trail in Acme Township. I'm president of Friends of Easling Pool. And just in the interest of time, if we could have all pool supporters here to please stand right now. If you're here to support the pool, if you could please stand just to show the support we have. Thank you. I do want to make a couple comments. Since May of 2015, Friends of Easling Pool has met at length with several key community leaders to pursue grant funding for the pool's necessary capital improvements. Rotary Charities, the Community Foundation, and North Sky Nonprofit Network have all encouraged our efforts to initiate a fundraising plan to take care of the capital needs of the pool, but we need county support for these efforts. All of these grant funding entities are in favor of a partnership between the County Parks and Rec Department and the YMCA, allowing the YMCA to take over management and operations of the pool. These entities have provided millions of dollars in grant money to various local organizations, helping to make our community the vibrant place that it is today. Their experience has proven that partnership is the key to creating lasting community resources. Tonight, we have a wonderful opportunity to make a positive decision to help save our community pool. Creating a partnership between the YMCA and the County Parks and Recreation Department would let a professional organization operate the pool, maximize the pool's potential in service to our community, and help enable Friends of Easling Pool to obtain grant money for capital improvements. This partnership is vital for the future of Eastling Pool and our community. For all of these reasons, we urge you tonight to show your support of this partnership.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's not do the applause thing, you guys. This is business.
Ann Rogers, 1236 Peninsula Drive, and a county taxpayer for 50 years. It's a shame that you put this at the end of the agenda, and everybody has to sit through everything else that you're doing. Knowing that there would be a group here, it's too bad you didn't put it first, so I'm sorry about that. The word community has been spoken many times. If you look back in the history of Eastling Pool, it was built with community donations, among other things. Donations. People said, we need a place to teach our kids. The bay is too darn cold. And over the years, lots of children's groups have used the pool. My neighbor goes over every Saturday. She has gone for years to help people with disabilities. This is something that is critical to the community. And to close it for even a short time is totally wrong. This pool needs to be kept open for everyone.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jim McMurray at 4011 Cedar Run Road, and to me, the pool is a wonderful community resource. I can't understand why this commission is even considering shutting that pool down. I would like to know how this got started and why the pool has been targeted to be shut down. I've heard a lot of rumors. I think there should be an investigation to see what actually has created this drive to shut that pool down. I can think of 100 other things in the city that money could be taken away from, but not that pool. I'd like to know why you guys are even discussing shutting that pool down. It makes no sense to me, and I think there's probably some reason that we're not hearing about. I'd like to know what it is.
Thank you. Don't be shy, you guys. I want to hear what you have to say.
Okay, it's time to move.
Going
Dan?
once?
Dan?
Yeah.
I did
Here comes somebody.
ask
Oh, here
Sarah
comes a person, okay.
if she could read a letter when.
Oh, is that about the pool too?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
If she would.
We'll do that last then.
Okay,
All right.
that's fine.
Jim Horrocks, I live at 248 Wooded Valley. My wife's on the Masters swim team. I do not swim there personally, but anywhere I've ever lived, I've taken it for granted there were community pools. Doesn't everybody take that for granted? Not everybody can afford a $500, $600, $700 gym fee. Who does that leave out? That can't afford certain things. So I just take it for granted, and I would hope that everybody there would also.
Thank you. Anybody else? And there's a lot of people standing back there. Any of you want to come forward? There's other times to talk though too. Don't be shy. Thank you.
Mary Ann Fields, 3815 Sandia Place, Garfield Township. We moved to this area in 1972, and immediately in 1973, I enrolled in the pool for a membership and began taking my son to the Mom and Me swim classes. Since that time, my husband, I, and my son were continual users of that pool. My son was a 4-letter swimmer on the public swim team. My husband depended on the pool and swam every day on his noon hour for back issues. And when I had back surgery 2 years ago, one of the first things after I completed my therapy was to enroll in the exercise classes. Like so many others who have spoken before me, I just cannot understand why the pool seems to be targeted. We haven't heard about any across-the-board reductions in some of the other programs. It just seems to be the pool. And yet, I know that the tax base has increased significantly because the population and the businesses in this county have increased tremendously since 1972. I also have read that you have a lot of unfunded retirement issues that you have to deal with, and I know expenses have gone up, and I know the pool needs maintenance. But I fail to see, as was reported in the paper, that a $60,000 to $80,000 arbitration settlement should be a significant enough issue for this commission to even think about removing a resource that valuable to so many members in the county.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Casey. I'm at 815 Webster. And this pool means so much to so many people. I grew up in the city and moved away, but I grew up going there all the time. And to have all walks of life, children all the way up to senior citizens being at this pool, experiencing this is so important to our neighborhood. It's so important to this side of town. A lot of people don't want to go to the other side of town, and just coming out of work, it's convenient. And you know, if we're going to sit here and support health and fitness in the community, by shutting this down proves everything wrong. It's not right. And so you know, there's so many other things. Being a part of the Masters Swim Group, that brings tourism to the country, I mean, to this area as well, because all these people are training for races that are a really big deal. And to support the schools, this is where they go. I just really disagree with shutting this down.
Thank you. I'm not in a hurry. Anybody else? Going once, twice, and we have other times to talk. 3 times. We'll bring it back to the board. Oh, wait.
Sarah's going to.
We've got a letter that Sarah's going to read.
Do you have it?
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
This was an email sent to Commissioner Klaus. Dear Mr. Ron Klaus, my name is Rosalind Nadu. Everybody calls me Roz. I'm writing to you because of a concern of closing the Easling Pool by the Grand Traverse County Commission. I have multiple sclerosis and have had it for 24 years and still walking on my own because of water therapy. I am very concerned about our local MS swim group not having access to this pool. According to the Friends of Easling Pool email of October 19th, this Wednesday, the 21st, at the County Commissioner meeting, the CEO of the YMCA, Jay Buckmaster, will present a proposal for the Y to step in and run the pool. The meeting is at 6 p.m. at the Governmental Center on Boardman Avenue, upstairs on the 2nd floor. And another part, although this is supposedly a temporary closure, the Board of Commissioners have the authority to permanently shut the pool down for good, and several of them have been hinting that they have no qualms in doing so. And these 2 statements alarm me as chairman of the Grand Traverse MS Swim Program. I want you and your fellow commissioners to know how important it is to keep the Easling Pool open and running. Please refer to my June 6th email sent to all commissioners about the importance of water therapy for people with MS. If Mr. J. Buckmaster from the YMCA has a proposal that will keep this pool open and available to all that currently use the Easling Pool, please give your full attention to working with his group to keep it open. Please do not close this pool. Please come to the pool this Saturday, October 24th at 10 a.m. to see how our group works and the benefits that it provides for the MS Aquatic Group. I have a commitment for Wednesday, October 21st, and cannot attend the GT County Commission meeting. Please consider this letter as a replacement for my attendance and know that I am very much against the closure of this county pool.
Thank you, Sarah. Again, anybody else? Okay, then we'll close public comment, bring it back to the board, and now we have the approval of the,
Yes.
Yeah, approval of the agenda. Can we switch that to
I
new
would like to
business?
propose that we move 10A to right before number 9.
How do we do that? Can we do that right here?
I'm
Do anything?
asking you to do it.
Can we do it?
I want you ask for a motion to
Okay.
approve the agenda
I would-
as amended.
I would move that we move 10A, the Easling Pool Operations
Make it 7B.
presentation, and make it...
7B.
Okay.
Make it 7B.
B?
B.
Okay.
Steve needs to go
Make that
first.
7B after Mr.
7B.
Peacock,
So the
please.
pool is after Steve then, huh?
Yes.
So we could throw Steve in the pool, couldn't we?
You could.
Yeah, okay. Is there a second? Okay, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Good.
Okay.
No, we won't keep you guys waiting then.
There you go.
Okay, we have the consent calendar, and there's nothing on it. So, is there someone who wants to make a motion, we accept the
I thought I was
consent
missing a
calendar?
page on here. Okay.
Do we even need to?
We don't need to.
No,
There's no
nothing to
consent
do action
calendar.
on.
All right, so we can skip that. We're going to special order of business.
I don't think we've ever
We
had
have the famous
We're all
Mr.
sitting here
Steve
in chat.
Peacock here to speak to us tonight.
Dan checked a couple times, just to make sure.
Who is
I thought all
Steve
these folks were here to
Peacock?
listen about audit reports and that kind of stuff, but I was wrong. My name is Steve Peacock, and I am an audit partner at Raymond. Just to give you a brief update on where we stand on the independent financial analysis for the county. In our last meeting in October, I believe I assured you that you'd have a final report today, and unfortunately, you do not have that. Reason being for that is the OPEB liability study that was being done by the actuaries is not complete. So we are waiting on that to get the final information from them. I would expect that certainly next week, so I can give you another preliminary time frame for the November meeting to have you a final analysis. But it's not going to be functional until we have this OPEB study done by the actuaries. So that's item number one. Yes.
Steve, if I add you to next week's county board agenda, do you think I'm being too optimistic?
Steve, you think you're going to have that stuff back by then?
We would have the OPEB valuation done, but I think we want to talk a little bit about some valuations that we may want to request from MERS, which would take 21 days from the point that we make the request to have that information.
Is that the lower?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's a couple studies and some options.
How does that
We
affect
at least,
the
I mean,
budget
I'm
hearings?
sorry.
Well, the budget here, I mean,
We need a target right now to try to hit. I mean, we can't wait another 21 days, I don't think, at least, if we at least take the $3.5 million that we think we're going to be in the hole, and it could be a lot more.
If I could add, based on the MERS recently, and I shared it with Steve today, they did their impact or some kind of a study. And I made sure that the numbers that were in that analysis, which take into consideration the lower investment return, the fact that employees, retirees are living longer, and some how they're going to deal with losses or gains going forward. You could rely on the information or the projections that we received on September 3rd and not consider the any changes in the multiplier, because the numbers you have now, in my opinion, are very conservative. They're going to give you, if you lower the multipliers, there's the chance that you would reduce the liability at some point. So there's no reason you can't use the information you have right now from MERS, but we do need the final OPEB report. And there are some things with that report that I'm not comfortable with, and we have our actuary, working on that. But we should have that by I'm hoping to have it by Monday.
So, am I hearing that I can or cannot put Mr. Peacock on the end of the month board meeting?
Well, what's the date of that, Christine?
Mr. Chairman,
It's a week from tonight.
I think what you're hearing is you can put them on anytime you want.
he made you
Yeah,
show
but
up.
he may not have
All
time.
Have the information.
And I think the issue is in those actuarial studies going out, which is structural change, which you're going to have to do in these pensions, is whether you're going to keep it at 2.5, you go back at 1.5, you go back at 1. And when you do those actuarial studies, there's a cost related to that. I think it's $1,800 for the 1% and up to $11,000 if you go in a different way. So, and that's going to take 21 days to do it. But I think if we had direction that we want to look at 1% increases compared to 1.5 or 2.8, we could give you a price at 1%, which is $1,800 to get the actual study going right away. That would give you one benchmark compared to the current benchmark we have, which is 2.5 or 2.8.
Correct. When we spoke last time, we talked about going to a multiplier of 1.5.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's been some further discussion with Tony, and he's thinking that what might be the most appropriate is 1.0, presuming that most of the employees have earned it 2.5, take it to 1.
If you're looking for a recommendation from someone who's been through it but is new, I'd get the 1% $1,800 study and get moving on it so you can make some decisions. Simple as that.
What's the timeline on a study like that?
Well, that's 21 days, but
That's the
it's 21 days from now compared to 21 days from a week from now, which is 21 days beyond that. So the budget is going to require some difficult decisions, and you need accurate numbers to give yourself some options to make judgment and make good decisions. And so, it all depends on that final number. And if you want to go 1.5, I suppose you could even get direction to start that tonight.
You could do them both,
but the cost is different. But quite frankly, I know that got some financial challenges, but if you're looking for structural change, even if you pay $11,000, that's small compared to what you're looking at with these pension obligations to get the right information. But Steve and I have talked, and Dean and I haven't spoken yet, but I would at least go for the 1% study to give yourself that look at what a 1% increase would be going out over the period of time and what your financial ramifications are. Quite frankly, I think you're going to have to go there anyway with the obligations you got, and they made a choice. But looking at other options, you can see how bad it's going to be. It's just a matter of lessening the pain and making structural changes for long-term liabilities, because if you just deal with the short term, you still haven't taken care of the structural need to change it so you don't have the liabilities increasing going out.
Did we have a preliminary placeholder for the OPEB in your financial analysis of last month?
Yes, we had about $500,000 of annual costs for OPEB, and I don't think that's going to be enough.
And what about our backlog on it? Are we somewhere in how many millions are we behind on that?
Roughly 12.
Oh, God, I thought it was 7. So
those were the old numbers. Remember we talked, those were last done in 2012.
So we have $46 million in pension debt and $12 million in retiree health care debt?
Yeah, approximately.
12 million, approximately.
Give or take a few million, I think.
So we're looking at $58 million in the hole?
Yeah.
And that's why I want that report before I give you definitive answers.
Okay.
And if there are holes in that thing that are not
All right.
right, we need to have that right.
These are long-term decisions which are going to impact everybody. You want to make sure that you've got accurate or best possible information that you can justify your decisions.
You don't make good decisions without good facts, and we've been missing a lot of facts for a long time.
That's been the
It goes
problem.
simply, you
It's
can't
been a
manage what you
huge
can't
problem.
measure. You've got to have measurements, and that's.
Okay, do we want to give him direction to 1%?
I think you need to give that to Dean, because Dean's the one that has to order that from MERS.
All right.
I can't spend your money, but Dean can.
Neither can we don't have any.
So do we need to vote on that, or just nod at Dean and say, let's do the 1 point,
The 1%?
the 1?
The cost to do it's called the bridge from whatever the current multipliers are down to a 1.0 multiplier for all of the divisions is $1,650, and it would be my request that we do that.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, go for it.
Order that up.
Anything else, Steve, you want to tell us?
The only other item that remained from the last time I was here was there was a question from the board as far as the budgeted revenue from 15 to 16. The three major components that were the decrease from 15 to 16 was, in 15, there was a $706,000 budgeted revenue item for use of the fund balance carry forward. $564,000 of revenue sharing fund. Both of those are not included in 16. There's not going to be enough in the revenue sharing to carry that forward for the next year. As well as $625,000 from the convention and liquor tax that's issued from the state of Michigan, which is going to be $625,000 less in 16 than it was in 15. So that's a major portion of what that reconciliation is between those two revenue.
And wasn't there also going down in 17 for the same reasons, or?
I didn't go any further than this. I just wanted to get your 16 question answered. I can get
Okay.
17.
Because it was 16 and 17 that the revenue was definitely less, and then it can tick back up in 18.
And I'll look into 17. I'm sorry,
Okay.
I pulled up 16 when you asked that question at the last time. So I'll
Okay,
get
if
17
I could
for
get
you.
16 to 17, because I kind of wanted to know for both years why that's dipped
Sure.
there and then goes back
Goes
in
back
18.
up. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep, no
So we're
problem.
losing $625,000 in the liquor tax from the state of Michigan.
Yes.
Right? I know about that situation. I'm sorry that I missed the qualifier on the number before that. It was
Revenue sharing.
the revenue sharing.
Revenue sharing.
We're losing in revenue sharing?
There's not as much in the fund as there has been in the past.
So what is
So
the,
you had 564 in 15, and you got 0 in 16.
we lost $564,000 in revenue sharing and $625,000 in the liquor control tax?
Correct. And the $706,000 of fund balance you had budgeted.
And I understand the plug, which I understand.
Yep.
We don't fix this budget by plugging holes anymore, like we've
Right.
done in the past, but
That's a total of $1.9 million, roughly.
1,000,009, gone, just gone with no, by the state of Michigan.
Yeah, the liquor tax went to Wayne County.
The liquor tax went to Wayne County. I'm aware of that situation, and I thought that there was a redistribution of funds in lieu of the liquor tax distribution. Am I wrong? Something about Convention Center, Cobo Hall had Convention Center taxes, and because Wayne County was going to benefit from the loss of the MLCC or the Michigan control tax, wasn't there a reallocation of funds from conference taxes in Wayne County to other counties in the state? Don't we have revenue in to offset this revenue
No,
loss?
we do not.
No.
We do not.
There's no revenue.
Michigan
To offset it.
Association of Counties fought and lost.
Okay, I think I was in on the part where they were fighting, and I didn't hear the part where they were losing.
They lost.
And the state has correspondence that has come to the county, if you'd like to see the correspondence from the state on that. But unfortunately, they picked the wrong year to not fund this for Grand Traverse County.
And when you handed us the independent preliminary financial analysis last year, you had some suggested contributions with MERS on there. Of course, we received an email here with new valuations where it digs us out of a hole by 2% by 2020. Are those the same annual employer contributions that it digs us out to 50%?
Yeah, I saw that, too.
I'm sorry, we go from 48% funded to 50% in 5 years. Is this the same required annual contribution? Does this match, or was this new values that we were getting based on actuarials, or?
I don't know what you're looking at.
Okay.
I can answer that.
Okay.
You're looking at the report that we got dated October 16th. I reviewed that today to make sure that those annual amounts are the same. They're not quite the same as what we received that Steve has built in, but they're awful close. The first 3 years are a little less. The 2016 contribution is approximately the same. They're very comparable. I wanted to be sure that those numbers in this 5 or 6 year look were the same as we were using in the financial analysis, and they are.
Okay. And you talked about a change in the percent return that we were expecting?
Right. What MERS was telling us with this is periodically, I think every 5 years, they look at their assumptions and they make sure that they're on target. Well, the investment rate of return for a long time has been 8%. They've lowered that to 7.75%. They're taking into consideration that people are living longer, so they're going to be drawing the retirement benefit longer. And then they're also doing something different with how they smooth gains and losses. They're doing it over a shorter. The bottom line, if you read through the letter, they're telling us you're going to pay more into the retirement system because they want you to be 100% funded. But the numbers that are presented in that table are the same amounts. They're not the same, but they're very close. I think over the course of the 5 or 6 years, it's $90,000. It's different, but they're comparable.
Because I read through the letter and saw that, but then wasn't certain if it was information that Steve had when presenting his proposed payments or minimum payments as we were discussing it.
And then, Commissioner, one thing, when you do read the entire letter, it does say that the annual amounts will not be based on that projection that we have to get us to full funding, but they'll be based on the annual actuarial valuations that are done each year. So even the amounts that are here could differ from what we're given every year when they do the valuation.
Say that again? What you
Well, this is an estimate. At the beginning of September, I requested, and MERS to tell us, give us the plan. We need to see the numbers to get us to full funding. That valuation was received on September 3rd. which is what Steve used in the financial analysis. This just came out this week to tell us that we're going to change some of the assumptions a little bit, and this is the effect that it has on your numbers. But at least going through, Tom has it in front of him, they're comparable to what we're using, but the caveat is the fact that every year when they do their valuation, they do a valuation every year, the numbers will be based on the actual.
Is that number based on the accelerated?
These are based on the accelerated
Okay,
funding
all right,
plan that
'cause
we're
I
on.
thought you
Yeah.
just
There could be more. There could be more.
Yes, I'm certainly not going to tell you that, they could be more, absolutely.
And they could be less.
Okay.
Yeah,
go ahead.
They're basing it on 7.75%. And if you have a well-funded plan, the interest that you make on that pays for it. But when you're underfunded, it just continues to get worse. So you're looking in 2016 at $5,635,480 that you have to pay out, and you're still underfunded. And that goes up to 2019, you got to pay close to $7 million.
And that's when we get to 50.
And you're still underfunded.
That's when we get
So
to
that's why I say you've got to make structural changes, because you're never going to catch up.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, this is like emptying a bathtub while you're filling the faucet, have the faucet on.
And in all honesty, they probably even need to go down to 7%, I think. But
I thought
the
so.
impact of that would be so large right now that it would increase that unfunded a lot.
We
But I think
would probably
7%.
drop 1% or 2%.
Yeah.
With changing the return of rate
But we'd
percent
have
to 7.
a lot more to cut out of the budget.
This is the first year
Yeah, this
that
is-
they're required to put unfunded pension liabilities on the balance sheet. And if the Record Eagle is looking at all the areas in the county, you're going to have a lot of company coming in, I'll tell you, because there are a lot of them in deep trouble.
But you know, the OPEBs isn't required to be on the balance sheet this year.
That's 17, right?
That's
2
down the
years,
road.
2 years, that goes on the balance sheet.
Correct. And I think we should put it on our balance sheet. You know,
Because
we
it's
should bring it
another
out in the light of
$12
day,
million.
just because it's not required.
You can early adopt that. You
Yeah.
can certainly early adopt it.
There is a sense of reality that's going to be facing every county in the state, and it's not going to be pretty.
Anything else, Mr.
Nope,
Peacock?
my plan is to come back here as often as you call on me, certainly monthly for the Ways and Means Committee. But I think if we've got direction now for where to go with this multiple, I would think that by November, the November meeting, this should be darn close to being wrapped up.
Can you bring good news next time?
I'll dig deep.
You got a better chance he's going to bring brownies.
No, actually, good numbers are good news for us.
That's right. Very well said.
Yeah,
Very
that's
well said,
true.
Doctor.
Just
Thank
having
you.
your hands around the right numbers now, then you
Thank
can
you,
make some
Stephen.
decisions.
Great.
All right,
Okay.
thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Now we're going to move on to the pool, and I have a little, again, I'm going to read a statement. We have our Parks Director here this evening, along with the CEO of the YMCA, to update our board on their continued discussions towards an agreement to have the Y take over Eastling Pool operations. They have not reached any decision, but would like to let us know what their vision is before they bring a proposal to the board later on. This is tonight's agenda item. We are not discussing whether we are closing the pool or taking action of any kind as a board this evening. This is just an informational piece from one of our department heads. The time to discuss the merits of the pool will be done at our upcoming budget meeting, not this evening. Now we welcome Christine and Jay to tell us about this new opportunity they are pursuing to potentially be a solution to the pool funding issue.
All right, well, that's okay. Hello, Commissioners. Hello, Mr. County Administrator. It's nice to be here. I first of all want to say I appreciate the outpouring from the pool patrons. I see many of you every day, and I thank you all for your positive comments and your support. Commissioners, you have asked me, and so has our Business Development Team, which is the subcommittee of our Parks Board and our Parks Board. All of you have asked me to find a more sustainable way to run this pool, because we've continually lost money every year on the pool. It's been subsidized to a certain extent. I know it's been expensive to run, and so we've been looking for creative ways to do that. And we feel like the best way to do that at this point will be a collaboration, especially going into next year. So today I'm here to talk about a potential collaboration with the Grand Traverse County YMCA, or the Grand Traverse Bay YMCA. I've been working with Jay Buckmaster, the CFO, or CEO, probably since April, and we've come up with a few good scenarios for you tonight that I think are solid and that will help you go into budgeting and looking at a different way of doing things for Eastling Pool and for our community. So the County Parks and Recreation mission statement is that we will enhance community and quality of life through people, parks, and programs. As you know, the programs are brought to us by other entities, except for in Eastling Pool. I think the plan would be for the Y to take over programming, which would pretty much remain the same, and then they could beef it up as well. The Y exists for youth development, for healthy living, and for social responsibility. Those are their taglines in all of their messaging. And as you can see, we have common goals for this community: to take care of our community members, to provide health and wellness. And the pool certainly is a big aspect of that. 2 pools, we feel, could be a big aspect of that, in addition to the other pools that exist in this community that are hotels and things like that. But predominantly the Y pool and our community pool, operated right now by the county, are really the 2 most viable options collectively for our community members. So our collaborative objectives are to continue to maximize Eastling Pool as a key community asset, providing opportunities for water safety, water fitness, healthy family activity, and community groups. Both pools have been doing this. We've been doing it longer, but the Y has also been doing this already. The key part of it is continuing to maximize Eastling Pool, so we can continue to do this at the same time, go into the future, and make it even more than it is now for our community. And which brings me to the next point. We want to expand health, wellness, and recreational opportunities for our entire community. So a scenario, the first one that I want to show to you, is one where we continue operating the same. And I'll walk you through that. We looked at our current budgeted Eastling Pool expenditures, and our Director of Finance has helped me with this. I've gathered information from several areas. I think I have the big picture now, my Parks Board. Would be, maybe 25 or 50% more, depending on the year and what happens at Eastling Pool. The total estimated utilities portion is going to be about $65,000 we project for this year. So the gross expenditures would be $434,000, almost $435,000. That is nearly $500,000. How long has it been off? Can you all hear me?
Just trying to fix it.
Okay. Just let me know. It sounds like it's on.
There we go.
You're all right?
All right. Our projected revenue for this year is $183,000. So the total net pool expenditures for the county are about $250,000, give or take. Now, Jay Buckmaster, CEO of the Y, and I have worked on this for quite some time, and all I have here are what the county expenses would be. And you can read through those. There aren't as many line items. There probably are about a third of the number of line items that we would be responsible for as the county. We would simply be operating the facility and maintaining the facility, and the Y would be taking over operations. We estimate that the total gross county expenditures for Eastling Pool would be $191,000, but we also are projecting a revenue share and planning on a revenue share coming from our collaboration with the Y. And this would be baseline for user groups. Now, there are other opportunities too, but this is just what we've built in there for now. I know that that probably will be a greater amount depending on other expansions of the collaboration that we decide on. And we can certainly strike an agreement to leave that door open to receive more revenue. So $156,900, almost $157,000. We're saving about $100,000 from that. previous scenario of $251,000. So under our the way we're operating, projected total expenditures for the county are $251,000 per year. This is $21,000 per month. Under the Y scenario, we're looking at $157 per year, about $13,000 per month. So it's considerably lower, I'd say about a third. So I want to explain briefly how this will work. At the top of the inverted pyramid, you see the community in our pool, which is what the positive outcomes and the successes that we want to see. That's what we're driving toward, is serving the community and improving our pool, its operations, and also its equipment. At the bottom, you see everything is driven by Grand Traverse County the county and Parks and Recreation. The Y would have an agreement with us, with the county, and the Friends of Easling Pool would have a memo of understanding or some other established agreement with the county and Grand Traverse County Parks and Recreation to fundraise for the equipment that is needed, the equipment upgrades. In its entirety, this would serve our community better. We would provide better services offered up by professionals. The Y has the professional experience to run a pool. The Friends of Easling's Pool, as you heard Bridget talk about tonight, we've worked very hard with them as well and identified items that need to be replaced to the tune of about $500,000. They're very serious about fundraising. We need for this to work like a three-legged stool. We need to all support the community and our pool. And so every component is essential. But this is how we envision it working. So again, I want to remind you how it will work is we provide the pool facility, we meaning Grand Traverse County Parks and Recreation. The Y will provide pool operations and management, which means they will provide the staffing and the training and keep that portion of the facility clean and take care of chemical checks, things like that. They will have an office person there to work with people wanting to sign up for the Y at Easling Pool. We hope to keep prices, at least for the first year, pretty close to what they are now for our community. The Friends of Easling Pool fundraises for capital improvements, and then our community ultimately continues to enjoy services at our Easling Pool, which is rich with history and has served people for many years. We'd like to see that continue under this agreement. There are many possibilities that Jay and I feel can come about from this partnership, and many benefits. We'll continue to serve all types of pool users at both pools. This is a win-win-win for the community, for the county, and for the Y and beyond. Revenues can be shared, not just what I told you about, but more. And Jay will talk with you more about a sustainability plan over time. We can trade facilities for services, and that will expand recreational programming to our community using our facilities. And there will just in general be more recreational opportunities, which is what we're all about. That's why we're here in Parks. That's why the Y is here. So thank you. I'm going to invite Jay Buckmaster, the CEO of the Y, up here to talk about the possibilities and the benefits and whatever else he would like to point out to you about this collaboration. And then if you have any questions, I can certainly return to the podium for those.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you. Good evening. Like Chris had stated, we were asked months ago to explore a collaboration with the county and Easling Pool. And so being an aquatics professional over the last 25 years and listening to what we heard today, how do you say no to that? So here we are. And I think how we see this is we're looking, I think, to be able to maximize our resources as aquatics professionals, to be able to continue to offer and enhance the services that are currently being offered at Easling Pool. So to be able to continue to provide recreational opportunities, swim team, all the water exercise, water fitness classes, and we feel that we can do this. We can make it a win-win for the county, for the people of Easling Pool, and for the commission as far as just an expense. And so we feel good about that opportunity. We feel, I've been been in the Y and in the partnership business for a long time, and I haven't quite seen in my tenure just a synergy of, one, the caring people of, and the commitment of the patrons of Easling Pool, the willingness of the county to really look at this very deep, and then the Friends of Easling is another great group that is really a grassroots effort to undertake some capital projects. And so, we feel like this opportunity would provide a path, a direction, a vision to be able to serve more people in the community and really take a community asset and give it some sustainability for years and years to come. So like Chris had said, we'll take over the operations. We would enhance the operations. The takeover is kind of a harsh word, but we would enhance the operations of Easling. She shared with you some financials with that. We do feel like there's opportunities for revenue sharing, and so that fee that we have, I can answer questions on how we came up with that fee, but we did put in that proposal the opportunity to give back to the county some revenue sharing based on how busy the pool is. And so if it is a community need and people want to use the pool, then everybody's going to benefit from that, and that's the win. The Y will benefit, the patrons will benefit, the community will benefit, and the county will benefit, because that amount over the years should go down from the amount Chris shared and be a decrease as we look for total sustainability. So with that, I would answer any questions.
Okay, anybody? Doctor?
All I've heard is, I hate to say it, Christine, because I love what you do, but I haven't seen the plan.
I'm going to pass out some scenarios.
I mean, it would have been nice to see this ahead of time to at least see what this proposal includes. What's your projection for 5 years for membership fees, for all the other costs that we're going to have? So,
we can certainly prepare that.
I guess I'm confused as to what we're doing on this right now. So.
Well, no decision tonight. Yeah, go ahead.
Just correct my understanding. We're going to be paying you $87,499.92 to manage the pool.
Well, that number, I think, is 97. Yeah, 97. Yep. And that includes all the guarding and that.
And then there's an additional $65,750 we pay for telephone and basic costs.
Utilities.
Yep. So that's about $173,000. And you mentioned $500,000, and Chris, I need to have you clarify me.
Sure.
There obviously is ongoing maintenance and infrastructure costs to keep it up to certain standards. What is the current state of the pool, and what is needed immediately now within the next 3 years, dollar-wise, to keep it viable and
If you turn
safe?
to the, we need about $450,000 of work, $450,000 to $500,000 worth of work. We've had it established by two different experts that one of the most expensive items, the air handler, we think it's better off than we realized at first. So we foresee a life of that for several years. There's nothing that's immediate. We need to just make a plan and start working at it so that something doesn't go like that. But there's nothing that's in immediate need of work. It's just if something goes all of a sudden, and we don't have the backup for that.
Do you have in your budget X amount put away for capital reinvestment? You don't do?
No, we've been making capital requests for years for those items.
So that comes from the general revenue.
Right.
All right. If you look at where you are now and with this relationship, are you going to break even now or in 3 years, or are you just losing less money than you did before?
I think right now we think we'll be losing less money than before. Our hope would be to break even at some point. And we definitely need to, we could maybe make a plan to have that happen, but right now Jay and I need to come together with that in our agreement.
Yeah, I think you need to put a business plan together per your point, and put some management matrix and benchmarks in there as terms of what you need to do. And you've got great community resources, but they also need some direction in terms of we need to measure X amount and fundraise X amount. And then those could really be move-on steps to continue, but if you don't meet those and you're falling behind, then it's not working.
And I think we have a good avenue to do that. We have a business development team who's written business plans for Power Island and for Twin Lakes. This year, they're devoted to the Civic Center, and that would be the perfect opportunity in that document to include what we'd like to do for the pool.
A business group that does
It's a business development team, Mr. Menzel, and they're an offshoot of the County Parks and Recreation Board, or Commission, and they're a subcommittee. And they've been preparing plans for each of our parks. And this year, it's the Civic Center. And the pool is a big part of that, obviously. So that could be...
As Dr. Phil says, how's that been working for you? Does it work or not, in terms of...
I could defer to a few of my county commissioners who are on the, also on the Parks Board. We think that it's going to work. It needs time to get off the ground. The Power Island business plan, we finally got the components in place for that to begin bringing in more revenue. There were some physical changes that needed to be made first and some pricing changes, so
I'm
it's not immediate.
because I'm a novice to this, but you need to get those questions answered before you go forward to have a good relationship, so you've got expectations. But then, quite frankly, if you don't make them, I can hold you accountable. So
Right.
There's got to be some accountability in measurements and notes, so. But, all right, thank you for asking. I didn't get this till 4 o'clock the day of the contract, and I haven't
Right,
had really
and
time
that's
to
just
look at it.
preliminary. There are going to be, it's a point of negotiation at this point.
And I commend you on your creativity and innovative ways of looking for collaborative partnerships in the community with people who know how to run pools. You know, my granddaughter's at your pool every Saturday. I'm there with her, so I know what a nice program the Y does. And I think it's a great approach to it. We just have to make sure the numbers make sense and there's enough win-win in the numbers. And then I'm always a little worried about infrastructure costs that aren't included in there.
Right.
And then you put that into the bottom line, it's not saving as much as you did before, but we have to deal with the reality of that. So, but thank you for your efforts, both of you, on that.
All right.
Anybody else want to ask a question or make a comment? Carol?
I think everybody around this table knows what we've been talking about in our retreats, and when going through our strategic planning and our mission statement and all this. And what consistently comes up is we want to provide better service for less money. Not necessarily no money, but less money. And on the surface, I realize that we don't have a lot of really specific numbers. But on the surface, this is heading in the right direction. We moved from the one slide where we continue as normal and we provide whatever services we're providing for $250,000. We can provide better service, wider service to the community with this pool for $150,000 or so. And I think that's at least a step in the right direction. Maybe at some point it would smooth out and sustain itself. But in the meantime, it is at least still providing the same or better service to our community for less money. So I think it's definitely a step in the right direction. And we don't want to, I want to let that forward motion continue.
Anybody else? Commissioner?
I guess the comment that I would make is, we can't forget that this community has been very blessed with partnerships that we've been able to form, whether it be through T-Bays, through ICE, or whatever, to provide expanded recreational opportunities for the individuals in our community. The Y and the softball program, the American Legion's baseball program, all of these programs and all of these opportunities in our community have all been created through partnerships. Grand Traverse County, while we own facilities and we're landlords of facilities, we do not operate any programming with the exception of the pool. We've had a lot of discussion over the years of whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, whether we're doing it right, we're doing it wrong. But the fact is, it's an opportunity that people in our community have come to want and to expect. When we talk about, okay, the net cost is going to be $156,000 after this partnership, I challenge you to go and look and see what do we spend a year to operate the walking path that goes around the Civic Center. By the time we talk about the asphalt, maintaining it and plowing it and I think if I remember right, there's about 80 light fixtures that go around that facility. All of those have to be maintained. They have to have lights in them. They have to have an electricity to them. Nothing we do in a recreational basis is going to pay for itself. There's always going to be a cost. The question just simply becomes, is that cost an acceptable amount of money for the number of people that it serves?
Thank you, Sonny. Doctor?
Yeah, and, you know, I'm probably the most vocal on here about closing it. I mean, you look at with what we're adding this year for the arbitration, we're over $300,000 dumping into the pool. I know that part is not any fault of the current administration or anything. I mean, we do have to look at what do we provide for the money. I mean, we're facing some serious financial issues. And when we have to start taking benefits and things from the employees, we have to look at where every dollar is going. And, you know, if they bring me a plan that makes sense, I'll vote for it. But you've got to get these numbers right. I mean, we're at a stage now where we cannot continue business as we have been. And even we don't even know what things cost, which has really hurt us too. So, you know, I'll be the hardest person to convince to keep it open, but, you know, I still keep an open mind. If you can, you know, show me the money, as they say.
Anybody else? Okay, then I will take this away from the board at this point, and now I'm going to open it for public comment, and I'm going to allow you to do are you guys all set? Yeah. Thank you very much.
Did John want to add something?
Just about the wide part of it.
Yeah, and
John, want to say something?
Just quick.
Go ahead, yeah.
That's Parks and Recreation President John Roth, by the way.
Hi, John.
This isn't just a less loss, Tom. This is a budget reduction. This is $150,000 to $200,000 budget reduction. I know that's in the scheme of $7 million, $58 million. That's not a ton, but this is a budget reduction, not just a loss. So we are talking about taking that reduction in the budget and outlay to the Parks and Rec. So,
and that's what I'd like to see is, you know, a chart, if you will, of these reductions throughout the years. Yeah. You know, if you're going to increase cost, lower cost here, increase fees or whatnot, but where are we going to be at in 5 years? Yeah. You know, that kind of thing.
That's right. And I do want to thank Jay and Christine. They've worked their tiny hind ends off and really have put a lot of effort to this, and they're there. They're getting there. Just a little more time.
Thank you. Now, we're going to open up public comment. I'm going to allow 3 minutes this time, but remember, folks, your comments now are about the YMCA and the pool. That's the subject we're talking about. So, please come on up, and public comments, I'm looking forward to hearing from you.
You need some
Come on, step it up.
What happened at Leah this week? Did you have some kind of...
Always rough.
I guess so.
The nonprofit world is a rough way to make a living. Matt Cowell, 117 Homestead Court, Peninsula Township, regular Easling Pool patron. Thank you all for your time tonight. Thank you to the folks that presented tonight on this. And fortunately, Commissioner Johnson, this is not business as usual. What an amazing opportunity and what a fantastic example of the power, I think, of this community to think outside the box a little bit and to put some partnerships together at a level that affects thousands of people. These aren't small arrangements. These aren't unambitious arrangements. They're very ambitious. But there's a ton of passion behind this facility. There's a lot that goes into a lot of my personal passion for it is similar to some of the comments we heard earlier. I just can't fathom living here without a public pool. It just seems to me to be just a basic part of what we enjoy as Americans, to have a pool that's open to the public and available for public use. So it's the kind of resource that I look at as being, you know, kind of far up the list when you look at community assets and community resources. And pulling 2 or 3 legs of a stool together the way this one's coming together is still kind of a rare and precious thing. It's complicated. It's not easy to do. There's a lot of leaps of faith, and this one's right there. So it's just an incredible opportunity for all of you to really, what you're facing is
is dark and dire and really, really hard. Well, everything you have is hard, and here's a bunch of people coming together looking to make one little piece of that a little bit easier. It's really exciting. I hope you feel that excitement. I know what you're up against. I know what you're snowed with, and the decisions you have coming up are going to also affect people. You know, decisions on Easling Pool affect people. The other budget decisions that are facing you are going to affect people, and that's a really incredibly difficult position for you all to be in. Well understood. But there's really positive trajectory here, and it's the moment to seize it. It's a really, really important moment to take advantage of that momentum, take advantage of all the good thinking that's gone into it, get this thing done, and put that pool on a trajectory that's like this instead of the trajectory that kind of it's been on for a while now, which is a trajectory of a slippery slope. So seize the opportunity. It's right here. This is some good news. This is an opportunity to really turn something around and maybe help set the tone for, you know, again, the other 250 decisions like this you're going to have to work through. But here's an opportunity where some of the heavy lifting's already been done. There's more heavy lifting to do, but you've got partners in this, and I would just really encourage you to take advantage of that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody else? I welcome you. Please come up.
Mr. Chair, may I speak for a moment?
Yes, of course.
I wanted full disclosure for Mr. Menzel. I am the chairwoman of the County Parks Business Development Team. I have been for 3 years now. I've served on County Parks for 4 years. And our business plans have come together. But we're not, in real life, I play a business owner. I know that, but I'm not a business consultant. And I was giving some thought to what you were saying. I have been a big part of this potential partnership for many, many years. When we heard that the Y was going to be built, that was our idea, was, if we can just sustain the pool till the Y opens, on top of many other things that Parks were hoping to partner with them in. What you were saying about benchmarks and a business plan makes sense to me, and along with what Commissioner Johnson said not too long ago, I'm going to bring up the D word. We sat here for the dam meeting, and I am, of course, the most vocal opponent to that. But the reason why I'm vocal about it is because I know we are going to ask employees, we are going to have to look at them and ask them to take concessions. I know that we are going to look at citizens and say, we are going to stop your services. We can't. $58 million doesn't appear. I didn't create the problem. Wish I could write a check to fix it. But we're going to have to do this through hard decisions. So what I said there was, please give us some good numbers for the dams. And I heard you echoing, maybe the pool is your dam. I don't know. But I heard you saying that, and you're right. We need good numbers. We don't make good decisions without good information. We talked about that before. I truly believe that decisions were made in the past in Grand Traverse County based on bad information. So we've, as a board, set forward to make sure we have good information. So on that line, I would like to help our Parks Director from the county board level to make sure that we can get somebody in to help with a business plan, because we do need appropriate numbers to make appropriate decisions. And this isn't special for the pool. I mean, I sent out a bit of an email the next morning after the dam meeting asking for real numbers.
Was that you?
That could have been me. But, the dams were looking at a $2 million potential liability, if not larger. It doesn't matter how much the dollar amount is. Every single dollar deserves the same consideration when we are asking employees and citizens to have decreased services or benefits. So therefore, I'm going to ask, because I'm more involved in this, because I've been on Parks for so long and I have my heart in this, but I'm going to step outside of my Parks board hat and say that we need to have the same exact numbers to make decisions at our budget hearing for the pool that we do for the dams or for whatever else it is. So how can we go about assisting our Parks Director in what kind of person could help us make a business plan?
Could SCORE help us?
I don't know. I'm not familiar with this.
Go ahead.
I found in going back to Beta, that I asked for business plans on everything that we did, and nobody had a clue how to do a business plan.
That's, yeah.
A real business plan. It was kind of fudgy. So I had outside consultant come in and give a seminar on a model and a process to follow that was clear in terms of the questions it asked, and then now that's a model that everybody uses in any kind of new service that goes out. It's based on that process for a business plan, and it's based on measurements and accountability. And I didn't know you were on that committee, or I'd have kept my mouth shut. I'm sorry about that, but I didn't.
I'm not going to pretend that I know how to fix a multi-million-dollar problem at the pool.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I hear what both of you are saying.
Okay, first of all, it's a multi-million-dollar problem because $500,000 a year goes to it, and multiply that by a 5-year budget, a 10-year budget, a 20-year budget, which is what we do at the county. In order to solve a problem, we have to look at not just what it cost us this year, but what it costs us in the future, because we don't want to fix it and then shut it down 2 years later. Quick reminder, Easling Pool was built in 1972 by a Friends group. Easling Pool was closed in 1973 because it ran out of money. Easling Pool was vacant for 2 years until it was reopened in 1975 by the Grand Traverse County Board of Commissioners. It has been underfunded since then, 42 years. It's been underfunded. I don't want to do that to Mr. Buckmaster. I don't want to do that to Director Erickson, and I certainly don't want to do it to the citizens of Grand Traverse County. So it is a multi-million-dollar budget that we deal with, because we want to make sure that our revenues and our expenses match to project outward for millions of dollars in the future. That's how you keep a pool open. That's how you solve a county budget crisis. We don't solve it for 2016. We solve it, you heard us talking about numbers going into 2030 tonight. That's how we solve it. Help us partner Easling Pool with being a part of that budget. Don't just make decisions in a vacuum, or next year we'll be sitting here at budget time again discussing the pool closing.
Okay.
And I am so sick of it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't want to cut you off. You're next, Carol.
Okay. We have a very good resource in our area, NMC. There are a lot of professionals at NMC that are very business savvy, that have written numerous business plans, and I'm putting the call out there to whoever you are out there watching. Please, if you are a professional in this area and would like to help us out, call our administration, call Mr. Menzel, call Commissioner Kropa, and say, we'd like to help you out, because we need help with this. We need help with writing the business plan for this. And I know that out there in TV land, or out there in the county land, that there are people who do this, that would be willing to come forward and help. We've got the Y standing here saying, I want to help. We have the Friends of Easling Pool saying, I want to help. There's somebody out there, that several people, I'm sure, out there, professionals in this area. Please step forward and give us a call, because we need your help. So we'll just put that out there.
Yes.
I have a process which I will look at tomorrow. It's generic, can use it for any business plan, and it may be adequate to use that as a model to go through and do that. So I will make a note to do that. I do think that you have to give credit to Chris and John and the groups that have come up with a budget cut of $200,000. It isn't where you want to be. But to solve this problem is, you're not going to have any one organization be the solution. It's going to have to be everybody in this county, in every department, is going to have to be a part of the solution, not just one. So I commend them for coming up with a creative plan that saves $200,000. And maybe that's all you ask for them this year, but then you ask a little bit for everybody. But the key thing is the trajectory has to be where it gets to a break-even point, and you may need to give them 2 to 3 budget cycles to get there, but you have to have a plan that moves that forward, including all the costs, the hidden costs, the renovations, or whatever you need to do to keep it current. And you need to build that into the agreement. So if there is more people coming to the pool, they have a creative curriculum that adds more people there, that there's shared value in that for both to offset the cost. That's all I'm saying. But I think obviously there's a lot of interest here. There's people that are trying to raise money and help. And if they see that there's a long-term plan in place and there's good trajectories in place, that gives them the incentive to run to raise money. It's hard to raise money when people don't know if you're going to be there from one year to the next. You need to have that long-term plan, which will then allow people to commit to it, and then that will offset some of the losses.
Which is
So-
exactly why it's a multi-million-dollar plan. I am correct in that, right?
Yeah.
It's a multi-million-dollar plan because I don't want to solve Easling problem for 1 year, I want to solve it for more. How long do you look at when you're talking about projected on a business plan? Are we talking 3 years, 5 years,
5.
10 years?
It's usually 5.
Well, they're usually 3 years. 5 years out, the variables are too
far.
But 3 years,
Particularly with
just
the
like when
revenue
we talk
sharing
about our budgets, when we were here earlier, we asked them forward thinking for 3-year projections, at least you can have a pretty good idea. There are variables, but there aren't as many surprises,
Okay, well, I will volunteer to look at the plan that you did, and I will volunteer to take my time and help our
get a copy.
director.
In fact, I'll get a copy of it to you as are you chair of that?
I am
business plan
chair,
committee?
yep.
Then I will get a copy of that. You can take a look at it, and if it makes sense and you'd like
Okay.
to make some
I
adjustments.
have some
use it.
experience in business plans, I just don't have experience in millions of dollars in business
No,
plans.
I think it's generic. In fact, I think I got it from someone who was a consultant from SCORE.
Okay.
And he brought a generic plan in that we then customized to our use. But it's a generic process, the model is there, and if you could use that model to build in what you want, I think it would work.
Okay, great.
I'll get
Well,
a
I'm happy
copy.
to do that. Chris and John, if you're available, we can get that started this week if you guys want.
Okay, Commissioner McBauer.
I would like to point out once again that originally, we had groups, TCAPS, NMC. The city of Traverse City agreed to help pay for Easling Pool. The city of Traverse City walked away. The last man standing was and is the Grand Traverse County Board. That having been said, I would like, as we look at a business plan, I would like us to incorporate the ice, the hockey, in that mix somehow and in some way, shape, or form. And I say this repeatedly I say this repeatedly at Parks Board meetings. Our agreement with Friends of Ice ends in 2016. And that hockey arena is a revenue generator. We threw darts at a dartboard to decide, because we only have 1 meter for gas and electric, et cetera, over there. We threw darts at a dartboard and said, well, gee, I think the pool probably uses more electricity than Howe Arena in the wintertime. I don't know how it was figured out, but it was not figured out other than an educated guess. So, I would really like, and I mentioned this I did when I was meeting with Jay about the pool, the Y taking over operations. I mentioned it to Jay too, that we need to at least take a look at incorporating hockey, or at least look at the lease for the hockey arena. They pay $8,000 a year for that lease. That needs to be, it can be revisited next year. It's an opportunity where the entire complex could benefit from that revenue, and it would lower the impact.
Yeah.
We've
Out-of-pocket
discussed the meter change, too, to assist in that
Those are all
allocation.
good points, and there's no sense reinventing the wheel. I'm assuring you, there are other models out there of communities that have pools and are doing this. I think in addition to the business plan, Chris needs to look at 2 or 3 other models in their operations and get their plans, break down their costs, and see what they're doing. So you've got some comparisons. And then you can link that into your business plan, and you'll have some more experiential information to come up with a good plan. But you aren't unique in what you're doing, and there's others that have been doing it, and I would find not the ones that are unsuccessful, but the ones that have been very successful. And that's your model, that's your gap analysis. This is where you want to be. Find out what they're doing, find out what you're not doing, and then put in place in that business plan those things to get there.
Yeah, and Commissioner
wait,
Matt,
wait.
sorry about that.
All right. Carol's next, then you, okay?
Oh,
Go ahead.
It has to do with Chris as well. We actually have a meeting set up next week, correct?
Yes.
With the, I don't know her official title, but the person that manages the pool in Charlevoix.
She did formerly,
Yes.
right.
So to get some ideas.
That's good.
As to how do they operate their pool? What do they do? So we do have that set up. as...
I'm all in favor of
You're
plagiarism.
suggesting that we investigate other
Somebody
ones,
does it
so
well,
that's what
find
we're
out what
going
they're
to do.
doing, you know? and
Yes.
then-
Okay,
then-
Chris, what did you want to
I
say?
apologize, I didn't mean to interrupt. And Commissioner Maxbauer and I have talked about a few other models before, too, that you've referred me to. So I think we have some good resources out there. And what tonight brought about is that this is the perfect time to start doing that for all that we do. But I just wanted to point out, Commissioner Maxbauer, the ICE contract actually ends 2019. I just looked at it.
19?
Yes, I just looked at it recently. I'm sorry to correct you. Yeah,
It was an
it's longer
opportunity.
than we thought. So, just so everybody
Okay.
knows, yeah. But we can look at that down the road, certainly,
Well,
just a little bit
Put it
longer.
into the business
Right.
model down the road.
Hey,
how many
Doctor.
extras.
Yeah, I mean, while you're there, you know, we've asked a lot of Christine this year, and I know, like I said, I've been kind of tough on the pool, but you've done an excellent job of trying to get numbers, because we've talked before about how hard it is to even get it in a ballpark, you know? But you've done an excellent job this year.
Well, thank you.
Don't
my
limit-
job.
Don't limit yourself to Michigan.
Right.
In terms of numbers. You
Right.
find out a community of equal size
Mm-hmm.
that's got the pool and has the program and has been successful at it. I don't care if it's in Alaska or New Mexico, but that's what you want to find, and they're out there. You just have to find them, get the model, find out what they've done, ask them for their business plan, and then take a look at that, and you
Right.
can build off of that.
Well, that's the kind of guidance that
And I can copy
music
the
to my
business
ears.
plan.
Chris, one question that, you know, I meant to ask earlier has to do with the timeline. You know, I know that you and Jay are working on it. You know, I've heard from news media and different people in different groups that we're talking about closing the pool, you know, next week. I'd like to know what kind of a timeline we're looking at. One of the emails that I received, I think it came from you, talked about the savings that we would have if we closed the pool. We could use that to refund memberships for the rest of 2015. I could be wrong because I'm speaking for people that I don't necessarily represent, but it seems to make sense to me. I think most people that would have a membership at the Easling Pool would forego that refund for 2 months for an opportunity to possibly have the pool remain open. You know, I'd like to know what kind of options we have with that.
That's a creative way of looking at things. We are, the pool is temporarily closed. We set a timeline of December 1st to 15th, ideally. We may have been a little overconfident about where our agreement was going to go. However, I still would like to, and at my old job, we did everything yesterday, and I try and be like that here with public service. It doesn't always work. I still think that we could produce a business plan for consideration before the end of the year.
Okay, anybody else? Okay,
Oh, somebody, do we
okay.
still have public comment?
I guess we
opportunity or no?
do. Come on up.
My name is Carrie O'Connor. I live at 18395 Central Road. I'm here primarily to represent the Masters, but I'm also here to represent another group, and I was reminded of that group yesterday when I was in the pool. The Coast Guard was there, and while they're active duty, I'm former active duty. I did serve in a foreign war, and I will tell you that the Masters program kept me alive. It was the coaching, it was the people, it was the group, it was a sense of community. And I think this partnership with the YMCA is great because I think the potential to represent other groups, to market to other groups, to have a professional organization like the YMCA target other groups such as veterans. We all know that the suicide rate in the veterans and active duty is very, very high. And I have struggled with that myself. And the Masters gave me a focus and a purpose. And I would hate to see the pool go away. I'm also a physician. And I also know how unhealthy this community can be. I've seen it firsthand. And I think while we're counting the cost on the bottom line, and I understand what it's like to run a business, I think we have to look at the long-term costs. And I think the long-term costs in terms of physical health, emotional health, and psychological health of the community has to be considered. Right now, approximately 8% of the community uses the pool. I think that number could be much higher. So you could really be looking at a revenue windfall, maybe several years down the road. But I hope you consider that there could be potentially many other user groups who could use the pool besides the current users. And I think the investment of the YMCA could really help boost that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd just like to bring to everybody's attention that the budgeting process, which will include the Parks and Recreation Department, begins tomorrow, Thursday, October 22nd at 6 p.m. at Twin Lakes Park. And that might be inconvenient for some people, so I just want to make sure everybody knows it's happening at Twin Lakes Park, not here at the Governmental Center. I'm concerned at how many times I heard repeated a business plan. As far as I understand, and I think that would be understatement, is that this is government. This is not a business. This is about the people. This is not a business. Is that probably not clear among some of you? But I heard it repeated at least a dozen times. Privatizing parks bothers me. Parks are not here to make money. They're here to provide recreation. And putting that onus on a park, I don't think is fair. Causes some people to feel fear that you're going to close parks and that you're going to do it possibly because of some settlement that you have to pay. I think that's absurd. And I would hope that you would talk about a plan and not talk about it like it's a business, because I don't believe it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Pardon? No.
Okay.
Comments
You
only
can't.
on the wires.
Okay.
No, we're not going to respond to you. We love you, but we can't respond to you.
right.
So who else wants to talk tonight? Come on up.
Only on the YMCA contract.
I'm Jerry Leroy, live at 885 South Airport Road, Traverse City. I just want to make a comment on a couple of things. One, we do have to act like a business, I believe, because money doesn't grow on trees and we can't pull it out of the air. So we have to still be accountable for where the money's coming from and that we do not get in further debt. I would also like to ask the Commission to consider the Friends of the Eastland Pool has repeatedly requested for us to, at the Parks Commission, to give them a 5-year guarantee that the park would not be closed. That is something, in other words, this is a three-legged stool, and they're an intricate part of it that is planning on bringing in the cost of this maintenance that is going to be needed in the near future to the pool. That leg says they are having trouble talking to possible donors without some consideration of a longer time period to be there, to stay there before they will donate. So that is something you said, a 3-year you usually need. The donors that they're approaching tend to think a 5-year is necessary. So please give that consideration too, because they are very passionate about it. They're very energized to try to get those donations, and if they should fall apart for the sake of 2 more years of us trying to stay open, would like you to have that as a consideration in order to make that all 3 legs of this stool can be operating equally and bringing it all together. I also do believe that there are many avenues, and Christine has been a very creative person by herself, working with the other 2 legs. I think it could be dynamite of being able to bring the costs down too. So please keep that in mind. There's a lot of passion, but there is consideration of a little bit of an extended term. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, going once. Oh, here we go. Come on.
Hi, I'm Beryl Strievsky. I live in Garfield Township. I'm also with the Friends of the Eastland Pool Committee, and we're sort of misunderstanding that we need to have a business plan in order to keep the pool open, and we're not really sure if this is what you are suggesting or not.
We're not answering questions.
Okay.
You just make your statement, okay?
All right. Well, we understand that sometimes to develop a business plan, it takes quite a long time. And so we are concerned that if a business plan is not produced by the end of the year, that the pool will close. That's my comment.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? I think it's a beautiful thing to see such a big group of concerned citizens, great souls like yourself. I thank you for being here. One more time, anybody want to talk? Okay, we'll close that part of it, and we're going to move on to items removed from the consent calendar.
Mr. Chair?
What?
Can I propose that we take just a couple-minute break if some would like to leave, or, because otherwise we won't be able to hear if we move on.
Okay, we'll go into, what?
Just 5 minutes?
5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Because they were going to leave anyway, and I wouldn't be able to hear.
Equalization.
Punchy now.
Jim.
Where'd everybody go?
We're down to the diehards. Welcome.
Jim Baker, Director of Equalization. Earlier today, when I met Mr. Menzel for the first time, he mentioned that equalization is not very popular. Well, I guess I proved it.
You can clear a room, Jim.
I can clear a room.
Your timing on the agenda is perfect.
Yeah. It was perfect until it was changed.
Yeah.
But I have actually nothing for you other than I have prepared and sent to you, and it's for your review. It's prepared for you on my behalf as the director, and if there are any questions, I would take them. This is just a statutory annual report of the compilation of millages as presented to us on the millage request forms. That's an official form that each governing entity that levies millage provides to the county clerk and equalization. And we make sure that the appropriate rollback fractions as calculated by equalization last year were applied to the correct jurisdictions at the correct amount, proper rounding occurred, and I'd field any questions if you had any.
Any questions? Sonny?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the apportionment report as outlined by the Equalization Director in compliance with the L4029 form.
Do we have a second?
Support.
Okay. Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for staying, Jim.
Okay. Next is GIS.
If I could, I'll handle this. Ernie had another commitment, but we have a survey and remonumentation grant that requires a grant administrator. Reiner Reichert used to fulfill that role. He has retired, and Ernie Kachalia is recommending another person in his office, Michael Steffies, be assigned to that role. And that's what we're asking for tonight, is your approval of that.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, next we're at facilities.
I'll handle these on behalf of facilities. The first item is a contract extension for trash removal services. The current contract allowed for a renewal, and upon checking with the current vendor, they're holding the rates for 2 years, and the recommendation would be to approve a 2-year extension to the existing contract with American Waste.
Okay.
And this would extend the service through December of 2018.
Carol?
And that's no increase at all?
That's correct.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I
Anybody?
would move to approve.
Second?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Discussion?
Just a question.
Yes.
Does anybody know, are we happy with our garbage?
Are we happy with our garbage?
Are we happy with our garbage provider? It says here we have the option to extend the contract for 2 additional years based upon satisfactory service levels. So we should probably check, because if it is unsatisfactory, are we kind of locking ourselves in for 2 years here? I mean, are we happy with
My
the garbage?
question was going to be, have they gone back out
Well,
to
it says
bids
the
again, or
RFP
anything?
process would happen when the 2 years was over.
Yeah, this was not rebid,
Right.
and I will not tell you if I don't know the answer. I have not heard of any complaints, but I can't tell you that it's been satisfactory either without asking. But I believe it has.
They pick up my trash. I think they do a great job.
I think they're a great company.
Yeah.
American Waste is great. I just thought somebody should say it.
I think they are.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, Commissioner.
I'm just curious, for future reference, some of this property is inside the city limits, and the city has bid out trash service inside the city, and American Waste is the hauler of choice. I don't know if that affects what we do or not, but I'm just tossing it out there. I mean, it's certainly of no effect if we're going to approve American Waste to continue, but...
I don't think that affects businesses. Businesses are free to contract with whoever they want. I think that only affects residents, as far as I know.
Okay.
Okay, so do we have, Did we pass that?
No.
We have a motion, we have a second?
Yes.
We're discussing. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, it passes. Then next is equipment disposal request.
We're asking for your approval here to dispose of the listed equipment on pages 16 and 17 in your packet. We use the public surplus vendor, which is it's an internet or a online service, so people can view the equipment and bid on it. All of this equipment is surplus. It's no longer being used by our facilities management department. So we would ask for your approval to use the public surplus to dispose of the equipment listed.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay,
Support.
okay, motion and support. Any discussion?
I gotta ask, because I see tires on there. Are they new tires or?
I can shed a little light on this. Paul Johnson from Facilities and Chris Erickson at Parks have been doing a really great job of cleaning through all of our old storage facilities. At Twin Lakes, it was like a bonanza. We had this idea of having a county parks yard sale, but there was a lot of issues with it being government property.
We have a splash
So
pad.
the auction site has been really successful. County Parks has been able to auction off property and return those dollars back into our county parks budget. And for instance, all the old fencing that we removed from the Civic Center, we changed it from 6-foot fence to 4-foot fence. You may have noticed piled up around the Civic Center. Well, recently those were sold at auction. We were able to retain the posts, which we hope to use if we can have a dog park someday, but the fencing was all hauled away. So we've been able to little bits and pieces clean out areas at county parks. We're trying to clean out the storage building there, the Pugsley Storage Building and things like that. It's really pretty impressive. At our parks meeting last Thursday, they gave us a whole book of pictures, documented items, and they're basically doing like a HGTV kind of sell-off. And Chris and Paul work great together and have done a good job. So that's where this stuff comes from, is sort of our direction, and I think Chris has been a big part of it with them cleaning it out.
I had a question because I'm new, so
Okay.
I apologize for asking a lot of questions, but when a certain department sells certain items and gets revenue from that, does it go back to that specific department? And if it does, where is it go in the budget? What's the category and line item it goes into?
We have we follow the state's uniform chart of accounts. There's a specific revenue line item, so it's recorded or accounted for as a revenue. In some cases, it goes back to the specific department, which was true with the fencing. In other cases, it goes back to the general fund. You have a non-departmental revenue because in most cases, the item or the equipment was purchased from general fund tax dollars.
Okay, so if it's purchased from general funds, it goes back to general funds tax dollars. If it's purchased through the department itself, budget?
Right, it could be recorded back in facilities. This is a department within the general fund, so it will stay within the general fund as a revenue item, unless some of these items are Parks and Rec, and we have fixed asset records to tell us where the items
So
were.
if it goes back in, if there's $10,000 that goes back in, then that becomes discretionary funds that are available for use depending on...
It would only be discretionary and used if the board approved the budget amendment for the use.
For the use of those particular funds.
Correct.
Anybody else?
What do you think, Bob? Do you think Consumers Power wants a couple generators that have
You know,
not been in
those-
use for 20 years?
Those are actually probably some good items you could rebuild, but
They found a lot of stuff. They found docks and boats and a splash pad. They did
She
locate
was
a
just
splash
saying.
pad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's really pretty neat.
could use that
what's in
for the city.
I asked specifically if there was a splash pad, and I was told,
it.
no,
It's not fancy enough.
Okay,
it's still a sore spot with me.
we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Installation costs for governmental center generator.
This project was approved by the board earlier in the year. The generator is the backup power source for this building, which has your critical 911 and IT. And the actual generator was approved earlier, but this is the installation of that equipment, which is scheduled to happen, was scheduled to happen this year, but it was bid out. The results of the bid are included in your packet, and it would be the recommendation to authorize the contract with Advantage Electric for the installation of the generator.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Commissioner Cropper makes a motion that we accept it with Advantage.
I authorize to contract with Advantage Electric based upon acceptance of their proposal dated October 12th, 2015, for installation of the ASKA generator previously purchased from Graham Motor Services.
Is there a second? Dr. Johnson. Any more discussion? Yes, Sonny.
The only thing that I would mention is the same thing I mention every time we do this. This 250 gallons of diesel fuel, these generators do not get run enough, and that fuel will gel in those tanks, and you'll get a varnishing in those tanks. My recommendation has always been that we not fill those tanks completely full, with the idea that Schmuckel Oil or somebody could deliver us fuel in an hour's time if we were in a situation where we needed to leave those generators. I hate to see diesel fuel stored for long periods of time. I think it's not good for the equipment, and it's not good for the fuel. So that would be my only recommendation, is that we speak with the installation people about not filling that 250 gallons of diesel fuel. You know, these generators get run short periods of time in test cycles, and occasionally if we have a power outage, but a generator of this type would have to run a long time to burn 250 gallons of fuel.
How many gallons do you think we should put in there?
I've suggested before that we put 100 gallons of fuel in them. But, I mean, you can ask whoever, Grand Traverse Diesel, whoever you would want to choose for an expert, but I think all of them will tell you the same thing. Storing large quantities of diesel fuel in this kind of equipment long-term is not good for the equipment or for the fuel.
Do we need to put that in the motion?
No,
All right.
it's just a summary. That has nothing to do with the motion, because the motion has to do with allowing Advantage Electric to do it.
Okay.
All I'm saying is, when the installation is actually in fact put in place, I would recommend that we do not fill the fuel tanks completely full. Because we find that these generators are big pedestal-mounted units, and basically the whole pedestal is covered with a fuel tank on almost all of them that's, a foot and a half deep. And when you put this kind of fuel in there long-term, you just have a problem with the diesel fuel.
Thank you, Sonny. Dr. Johnson?
Yeah, I mean, you could figure out, how long would it run on that 250 gallons? I mean, I would think you'd want a day or two of fuel in there. If you can't get fuel in 2 days, we're in trouble anyway. So, but yeah, I mean, I agree. You don't want it to sit too long, so, but that's something they could figure out.
I will pass that on to facilities.
We've had that discussion before when we bought emergency generators. When we bought the one for the jail, it was the same thing, their recommendation, and I think that one had a 350 or 400 gallon tank, and it was like, why?
Well,
but that's the way that equipment of that size is designed to be used for emergency generator equipment. So it's expected that it's going to have to run. In our application, we don't run this equipment long-term, even though it's regularly tested and the switchovers are tested. We don't need fuel to have this thing run for 40 hours. So,
gotcha. Okay, we have a motion, and we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes. Contract for snow removal service.
This was bid out. The results of the bids are summarized, and the recommendation is to enter into a contract with Elmer's Crane and Dozer for snow removal services per acceptance of their bid dated October 5th, 2012. And these costs are included in your budget request at this point in time.
Anybody?
Mr. Chairman, I would move to enter into a contract with Elmer's Crane and Dozer for snow removal services per acceptance of their bid dated October 5th, 2012.
Is there a second? Support. Okay, any discussion? Yes, Doctor.
Is this just a contract that no matter how many times we use it between that time period, that's what we're paying, whether we use it 4 times or 100 times?
They're, based on what's here, and, you know, this would be, I'm not sure if I can answer that, but it calls for clearing snow accumulations 2 inches or greater.
Yep.
So it is a fixed cost or contract. There are times when we have, you know, depending on how much snow we have, there may be added cost to remove the snowbanks that accumulate because what the problem we have is with the parking, you can't, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's fixed as far as the removal cost, but if we get into a situation where our snowbanks there may be an added cost to, we're supposed to have a mild winter,
It says
though.
this includes removal of accumulated
I hope
snowbanks.
so.
I think, though, that there's so many times where they're going to come in and do that, and beyond, I should check, though.
It would have to be, I mean, I can shed a little light on this, considering I do it every day. If there's not a per push amount, if it's a dollar amount, then it's a fixed contract. The question would be the months of the contract. But almost all of them are, I mean, in northern Michigan, we could be plowing in October, we could be plowing in May, so typically that's how they're done. And then there's 2 different types that I know of, and that's one where you have a fixed cost for accumulated snowbanks, but then if you exceed a certain amount, you're charged extra. And Elmer's is a great option for that because they have in-house equipment that does that kind of work. So usually you have the best deal possible. So there is a possibility that this includes removal of all accumulated snowbanks, but
Look, this will come back to the board meeting next week. I'll have an answer for you on that before you act on it.
Elmer's is our current contractor
Yeah, I
too,
mean,
aren't
yeah, I mean, I know they do good work. I was just curious on the contract.
Ron Pop used to have the contract, but I think Elmer's has had it for the last couple, 3 years, maybe longer than that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Now, we go on to Finance Administration, starring Dean.
The first item is your trial balance through September 30th. Unless there are any questions, I'm probably going to go through this fairly quickly, but there is a comparison with the prior year, and on the revenue, this is page 22. The tax collections, if you recall, last month we were lagging through 8 months, but this year through 9 months we're ahead of where we were last year, which is always a good thing. People are paying their taxes faster this year than a year ago. The other variances are explained. The transfers is a timing difference. On the expenditure side, the big variance is under public safety, and that was from transferring the central dispatch to a separate fund. But everything is within budget. I'm not seeing any variances either on the revenue or the expenditure side at this point that cause me any concern. So it's information.
Okay. Do we need to vote on that? Okay. What's next?
Budget adjustments.
Okay.
Starting on page 25, there are quite a few budget adjustments, but the first one I did want to discuss a little bit. This was the contingency money that the board authorized for the storm, August 2nd storm event. You had initially approved $10,000. Our actual cost, this budget adjustment is for $20,000, but we included the work to clean up Maple Bay, Power Island, and the Civic Center. Our expenditure is $18,448 of that $20,000. And based on Sherry's work with the Section 319 funding, we'll get every dollar of that back. So I'm hoping that you are okay with the additional $10,000 because it will all come back. And it did clean up some very extensive storm damage at those 3 sites that was a serious risk to the public. The rest of the budget adjustments are, unless there's any questions, I'm asking for your approval. There's the one at the bottom of page 25. We had to transfer the additional EDC funds to the Traverse City Area Chamber of Commerce per the agreement. There are some Commission on Aging adjustments to adjust their millage revenue to the actual millage. And then the inspections fund, the actual building trade and construction activity is higher, so we're budgeting some additional revenue to cover the related contractual services. And then, the last few are the insurance fund. We had a recovery for damage at the Cherry Capital Airport. That's an adjustment to cover the payment comes into the county, and then we make a payment back to the airport. The 691 is the adjustment to do the brush grinding at Keystone, so that has all been done, and that was covered with some fund balance and the additional tipping fees that were taken in. And then the last one regarding the drain is for some contractual engineering services that were done at the Deepwater drain. So I'm asking for your approval of those budget amendments.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the budget adjustments as outlined by the Finance Director.
Support.
Okay. Commissioner Wheelock, thank you.
Support.
Okay. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it passes. And then we're on Boardman River Ecosystem Restoration Project invoice.
This is an invoice from URS. They're doing the engineering and the design work for the Boardman Dam and also the Cass Road Bridge. This covers the period of July 4th through August 7th. The amount of the invoice is $49,132.16. I've identified the grant funds that are covering the invoice, and I'm asking for your approval to pay this invoice.
Is there a motion? Huh? Okay, you move.
I'll move that
I'm not doing
we pay the invoice as presented, $49,132.60.
Is there a second?
Support.
Okay, now discussion.
I'm just wondering, I thought they changed their name. I mean, I thought that it was somebody.
AECom.
AECom.
Yes, they did, but they're still, I mean, URS is, I don't know if it's a subsidiary or what it is, but it's being invoiced under URS.
Okay.
Yes, they've been absorbed by a larger firm, and yes, it's AECom.
Okay.
But our contract is still with URS.
Correct.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say,
Did the numbers add up, Ron?
Well, they did, but, I mean, if you went through and looked at, well, they could put any hours down there and put anything in there, but at least the numbers, the math worked.
Okay.
But,
yeah.
you could always ask, how was it that one person had 170 hours in 5 weeks?
She had 170 hours.
Which was, short of the 200 hours that a person would have on a 40-hour week. So she must have been darn near full-time on our job. Good going. She did a heck of a job.
That's true.
But I look at that and we don't know what they did, so thanks for bringing that out.
Okay, all right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it passes. And then what's next? Standard & Poor credit rating.
Yeah, you may have seen this, I'm not sure, it may have been provided at one of your strategic planning sessions, but I do like to bring this back. This was, the rating is done anytime we issue bonds or we do a refunding. So this was done in connection with the Blair Township refunding. We maintained our AA rating, and that was for this particular issue, but then overall our debt is rated AA, and that means that in layman's terms, we have, we're going to repay the principal and interest. That's based on the county's credit rating. I do want to point out, as we've discussed, if you look at page 4, one of the items that they note as a credit weakness is our pension and OPEB liability. That's the first time in our rating that it's been explained. We had a rating that was done earlier in the year, and they mentioned that the overall pension liability for all, they included the road commission and the pavilions. It was a more favorable look at that pension liability. This one is pretty specific, that they do mention that. I don't agree with how they're saying it. They say that we don't have a plan in place. I mean, we are on an accelerated funding plan, but it is listed as a credit weakness as far as the overall rating. So at some point in time, without having, you know, a plan to pay down those liabilities, including the OPEB, because the OPEB is listed as well, it could affect our bond rating, which affects our ability to get a good interest rate when we go to the market to issue bonds. So,
Doctor?
Yeah, I mean, I disagree with what you just said. I mean, we have a plan, generic plan, if you will, for the unfunded, but for the rest of that $3.5 million, we have no plan right now, so.
Right, with the OPEB, you're absolutely correct. I would never intend to mislead you, but we're on a pay-as-you-go. We're not pre-funding, we don't have money set aside in a trust, and they're picking up on that, so.
Okay, anybody else? Commissioner?
I wanted to read this part just to get some clarification. It says, "We view the county's management as adequate with standard," in quotes, "financial policies and practices under our FMA methodology indicating," and this is what I had a question on, "indicating the finance department maintains adequate policies in some, but not all, key areas." We changed our FMA score in the county to standard from good. What is our finance department doing that is not considered even adequate in key areas?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
There wasn't any explanation, FYI.
Can you go back to them for any explanation, or is it just?
Oh, absolutely.
If all we need to do is, you know, improve some policies, that would seem to be an easy fix.
Well, and one of the things that will improve that score, if you look at that, I mean, that's one of the areas that they rate would be the financial analysis that you're working on, a I can't talk today.
Mm-hmm.
A multiple year budget will help. Yeah, there's no.
I mean, I think it's something along those lines, but I'm just curious what they think is not an adequate policy, because it seems to me that should be in our strategic planning to make sure that that's some kind of benchmark that we're trying to reach, is all of these financial policies.
Yes, I agree.
So that may be important to know as we go into budgeting. And I'm certain you can pick up the phone and get an immediate answer from Standard & Poor's, but at least I think that's something to look at, because that particular paragraph is a little bit concerning.
May I?
Yes.
I think that's certainly important, and I would also ask for recommendations on how to improve it.
Okay. What do I do next year? I will have to vote on that, so Dean's going to give us some recommendations, I guess. Now we go to unfinished business. We've done that.
Oh, there's one.
Appointments. Okay, who's going to take that up?
I will.
Okay.
I would move that County Administrator Tom Menzel fill the remainder of the 3-year term on the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, ending in December 31st, 2016, and the remainder of the 6-year term ending 12/31/17 on the Building Authority. And hang in there, and that John Syke is the designee to sit on the Revolving Loan Fund Board, and that Commissioner Kropa be appointed to the TC Talus Board as the county's representative and I would like this to be for immediate approval. I don't think we need to, I don't think we need to appoint Tom to the capital improvement team. I mean,
Or the dam.
or the dam, he's just going to go.
I think we had a resolution that had Dean be a designee, so I believe we need a motion because of that resolution.
All right, and that County Administrator Tom Menzel be our designee on the capital improvement team and the Boardman River Dam implementation team and project managers team. How is that?
And the TC Talus says to appoint a commissioner and an alternate.
And who would like to be the alternate?
I would like to be the alternate.
And Commissioner Carol Crawford as the alternate.
Thank you, Carol.
And the Land Bank Authority, Dean?
Quite honestly, I think both of you need to go.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
There's a Land Bank Authority, which you missed, which was Dean's on there, too. It stays the same.
Well, it says stays the same, no action.
No action, right.
Okay.
Did you get all that, Sarah?
Is there a second?
She's got it right here.
Second.
Okay.
For
Any more?
immediate approval, so we'll roll call.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. We have some experienced people here. Teach me what to do. Roll call, please. Sarah?
We're a friendly group.
Crawford?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Kropa?
Yes.
Max Bauer?
Yes.
Wheelock?
Yes.
Klaus?
Yes.
Lathrop?
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I had a question on authority, since we're in appointments, if I may ask a couple of questions.
Sure.
Earlier, you appointed someone through the commission's actions to be on a grant team. That is more of an administrative function. That shouldn't even have to come to the board. Why does that come to the board? Is that in the policy that all of those things do?
I believe that is an action that you could have taken, and, and
Wouldn't have had to come to the, yeah.
I don't believe that would have had to
Okay,
come
so that's
here.
just because I'm new and don't know what I'm doing yet, okay.
I wouldn't-
Or that you weren't here,
I wasn't here, yeah.
and
Thanks.
we had to have someone handle
Someone do
the
that. Okay, and
grant
then the other
application.
question I have is contractual agreements, the American Waste Foundation, as an example. What's the authority of the administrator in terms of amount of contract sizes that he or she can act on?
Under 10,000.
Under 10,000, okay. 10,000 and below, okay. Good, you've answered my questions, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, so, do we have any new business? We don't. Okay, second public comment.
Did we vote?
Yes.
Oh, all right.
We had a roll call on that one.
Oh, roll call,
You were
okay.
there.
Let's
Was
do
I
it.
there?
You already did it.
I did it.
Okay,
We're good.
Okay.
You voted yes.
I had a senior moment.
Okay, I'm getting tired, you guys. Second public comment.
Oh,
Great.
Geraldine Green, 214 East 11th Street. First of all, I'd like to make a formal complaint to your, to your legal counsel. When I came to this building 20 minutes ago, the doors were locked.
Oh.
This is a public meeting. Someone did happen to show up with their car and a key. Should never happen. Now, next thing I wanted to, did I say I live at 214 East 11th Street? Oh, thank you. Senior moment. I was very disappointed with the Parks and Rec Board last week when they made the motion to shut the pool down October 27th without any forward knowledge of the community. So of course you had no public there. And I guess you can't answer my questions because all I can do is make a comment. But can you actually do that without a vote of this commission? Don't answer. It's just a question I have. Makes me think that you probably can't do that, but you're going to do that. And then I guess my next thought would be, by the time you send refunds back to people, couldn't you keep that pool open until the Y takes over? This coming Saturday will be the last time that MS group can meet on a Saturday at that pool. For what? 6 weeks? 8 weeks? I talked to a woman last Saturday who had brought her children in and had signed her son up for swimming lessons as a birthday present. And of course, she hadn't been told that there was a swim meet at that pool last Saturday. So none of us could swim anyway. I'm not even sure the lifeguards knew that there was a swim meet there. And I said to her, well, I'm really sorry. They will refund your money. And I said, just take your son to the Y for swimming lessons. And she said, I can't afford to take my boy there. Keep that pool open until the Y takes it over. Are we up to $50 million now? Low-hanging fruit. I know, Dr. Johnson, that for you it is low-hanging fruit, but to a great number of different organizations and needs in this community, that pool should be kept open. I will be at the Y buying a membership, but the mother with her little boy.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else? Public comment. Okay, I'll close public comment and Commissioner Committee reports.
I have one, but I have to look at my calendar to read.
I've got a little one. The Commission on Aging Board has approved ballot language for millage renewal next year, and that will be coming to the full board for the Board of Commissioners for their consideration.
Anybody else?
I have a question. What would, May, November?
August. We're looking at the August election.
Good.
And we wanted to bring it to the full Board of Commissioners early enough so that if the Board of Commissioners would like the language to be different than what we are proposing, there is time to do that before the legal cutoff date to put it on the ballot.
Sonny.
I apologize for the notes that you got on your email, but in just my handwritten notes on company stationery from another company that supplies steel to me. Chris had called me and asked me to get those to you before tonight's meeting, and in my mind, I had that in mind that we were going to talk about it at the Board of Commissioners meeting the end of next week. So I just, jotted down the notes and sent it to you for bullet points.
I'll sit with Paula and I'll type it up.
I just sent you some bullet point type things in regard to resource recovery. There's much discussion to be had on what those bullet points mean.
Okay.
But, Chris had asked me to make sure that you had them before tonight's meeting, and I really wasn't prepared to send them to you yet, but you got them in.
We'll fancy them up.
My handwriting on, I think, a Harbor Steel pad, if I remember right, but.
Look like Egyptian hieroglyphics.
What I was going to say is we need to make sure we capture all that they do, because I'm pretty sure they have some interface with the airport now too, as far as recycling. So we need to make sure when we go through this process that we capture everything that they're doing so we get a good, accurate picture of it. So.
Good. Anybody else? Commissioner reports? Yes.
The business development team for the county parks met today, and we are moving forward with our initial steps for a playground replacement for Kids Cove. 0 general fund dollars will be used for this project at all. We started with just catalogs. We're really fortunate because Paul Johnson in facilities management is a certified playground inspector and he's such a wealth of knowledge for us. So we started with that, and our goal in the business team is to narrow things down to a manageable list of ideas and then go into the schools and have kids help us pick from the narrowed list and public hearing and stuff. So we're working on that. And I just wanted to thank you for the appointment to TC Talus. It is a board that I do not get paid for, nor will I get paid for any mileage at all. I mean, this will not cost the county any dollars for me to be on it. I have been attending TC Talus, and as I sent an email to you, I just wanted to say publicly, they did choose their number one priority for this next year to be the Hartman Hammond. Jim Cook is a voting member on TC Talus and had an excellent statement regarding they've been dusting off things from the road commission basement. According to Jim Cook, many of those surveys are very still timely, but they're moving forward at the road commission with that being something that they're putting on a priority, which our board of commissioners asked. So I look forward to being a voting member on that board, which I think is very important. So I thank you for that. And as far as county parks goes, I had planned on informing you that we had voted last week to shut down the pool temporarily, but I do want you to know that unlike what we heard at public comment tonight, this was not done in any halfway regard at all to the citizens. This was a very weighted decision, and unlike what you heard tonight, it was on the agenda. The agenda item was under old business. It said discussion on the future of Easling Pool and potential Y operations. Nobody chose to come. Nobody chose to come. Not from any of the Friends groups, not from the YMCA, nobody. So when that decision came forward, it was from our director, and it was weighed very heavily and discussed, and I stand by that board's decision. It was the responsible thing to do for this pool, and I'm very proud of that board, and it was a good night to serve on it. So don't always believe what you read or what you hear secondhand, because none of the people that spoke were there that evening.
Okay, I attended a special meeting of the Beta Board today to discuss Tom's transition into the county. And we're going to hire a temporary administrator who will not be applying for Tom's job. And we are doing a very transparent, professional job at searching for a new CEO for Beta. And I think everything's pretty much, our ducks are in order.
Target date, Mr. Chairman, is that my last day will be the 16th, and the interim director will start on the 16th. I'll spend a day with that individual, and then they'll be going full-time, and then I will, at 5 o'clock on the 16th, which is a Monday, will be my last day, and then I'll be full-time on the 17th here.
So you'd be earning that dollar then, huh?
I have something else. It's kind of a committee. Who is on the airport committee?
Bob.
And are you familiar with the Costco issue? Okay, all right. That's where
Do you
that
pay
was.
tax on that dollar?
You know, I have never received my dollar from my consultant. Yet for-
I left my wallet at home.
I often wondered,
The check's
you know,
in the
it's
mail.
August, September, October, and
It's a dollar from Bob. I gave it to him at the last strategic planning session.
And we're looking for money for the pool. We can't even get...
nobody asked me for my social security number, how much do I want taken off for taxes, nothing. So I just assumed we'd just let it float for a while and see.
It's deferred payment.
Conversation.
I hope the IRS isn't listening.
It's compounding daily.
It's a deferred payment, yeah.
Oh, I have one other thing.
Yes.
I apologize, we did meet, the Capital Improvement Committee met Tuesday. Anyway, just to talk about, we did get those proposals back from from 5 different sources for the energy audits. And, you know, John will be providing us with a explanation of the things. At this point, you know, we kind of assumed that, you know, the county board wasn't willing to go out and enter into any sort of a contract for the contracting of Johnson Control or Siemens or whoever to come in and do an overall thing. But what we are doing, we're in the process of compiling the list of what we have done in improvements since 2007, 2009, and what those projected energy savings have been for us already with doing it in-house. And that information is being compiled and it will be provided to you soon.
Okay, anybody else? Notices, announcements? No closed session? Motion for adjournment.
All right now.
We're adjourned.
Thank you.